on this Monday evening. What's going on? What's going on? All right. Yes, indeed. I always start off on Facebook. I should start off on the gram. Let's see what's going on. The Twitter check-in. The Twitter check-in. Photo courtesy. Iconic Rory McIlroy photo. You can believe it. Ken Griffey Jr. was a part of the media gallery. It's a beautiful thing. Good to see Twitter is where it needs to be. All right. Cherry Pulse, appreciate you. Okay, let's head over. Make sure YouTube is correct. Had to switch some things around. And I hope the start of the work week is good for folks. And we conclude. Let's make sure Twitch is straightened out. Oh, yeah. Welcome to Sand City Sports, to the business. Yes. The Monday edition, really nice today in the Commonwealth. The sun was shining. Okay. The feeling that spring has spring has arrived. It's getting to the holidays, season. I was going to say risen. No, spring has arisen, has come to fruition, if you will. So even though, again, still April, all right, so we still have the April showers to contend with. Certainly that was the case over the weekend, but it was nice today to see the breakthrough and just overall, mid 60s, consistent, sunny, nary a cloud in the sky. So a really nice start to the work week. In many parts of the Commonwealth, at least, it's going to be a shorter week with Good Friday coming up, and then schools will be on vacation, starting with Patriots Monday, which, of course, in the Commonwealth is also Boston Marathon Monday, which is just a tremendous event. Boston Marathon. I think it goes beyond the Commonwealth. I think it's something that the region, at least, if not the nation, can appreciate. Marathons don't necessarily get the love that they should, frankly. You got the Boston Marathon, you got the New York Marathon. You look back, marathons should be, almost akin to, the Tour de France. We don't hear enough about the Tour de France as I remember growing up. I'm not going to put it on the same par, if you will, because the Masters concluded yesterday, and we will talk about the finish, which was out of this world. Looked like a Greg Norman circumstance that we were witnessing. I locked in for the back nine when Rory was up 3, and that 3-stroke lead quickly disappeared. And then it was just nip and tuck all the way down the stretch. Happy for Rory. All right, just as a casual fan of golf, he seems like a good dude. Comes off as, a grateful individual. Somebody that, is extremely talented, extremely successful, and quite mindful of the gifts and the benefits that he has. That's my view. Again, anyone, Sand City Sports is sports news and commentary by and for the fandom, right? So if anybody wants to, comment on that or you're always welcome. I see some people with me on Facebook. I appreciate you very much so tuning in. Again, like, comment, subscribe. You know that that's kind of the lingo. But beyond that, jump in the comments if you have a take, or if you want to steer an angle. This is collaborative with what's going on in Sand City Sports, and we are talking Rory. So it's really only right, since we're talking Rory, that we get some imagery so people can see and understand what's going on. Oh yeah, sharing is caring, folks. And it's one of these things where you had to be there to understand what this encapsulates. Okay, I'm trying to, the Mike Tyson quote, famous quote, "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth," is certainly applicable here. But this is, I wasn't understanding, because I'm looking at Rory McIlroy, completely, supremely talented, and he just has a way about it. What am I saying? This is generalistic, meaning the pressure that you have in sports, but then specific to golf, which is an individual sport, you against yourself, which is an exacting and unforgiving sport. Conversation about Steph Curry being the greatest shooter of all time, right? A very important and lively conversation. Okay, is he, do you go with somebody like a Michael Jordan, who certainly was much more clutch, versus Steph Curry, who is a sniper, is just more of a catch and shoot scorer. Obviously he can score off the bounce, the bounce. And he proved that in the Olympics. He scores in a number of different ways. And I'm not going to put him, not saying he's exclusively, because he can score it off the bounce, but he is disadvantaged. He's undersized, scoring it off the bounce. Just like a generation ago, and we'll get some of this for you, Isaiah Thomas was undersized off the bounce. What is the connection of Rory McIlroy, who we're looking at right now? And we're going to come back to Chef Curry. The connection, my people, is that Steph Curry is an avid and skilled golfer. Yes, indeed. Okay. And so the precision, the patience, the focus that goes into what it takes to be just a good golfer, never mind a ranked golfer, never mind a winning golfer, never mind a major champion. Okay. How elite you have to be. Right? And that pressure boils over. Yes, it does. Right? Just let people know they're available, to come through. Pressure boils over. And what does this have to do with Rory McIlroy? And it's that you don't always see the pressure boiling over with him. He doesn't have that tense, from my perspective. He's not on edge. He's not ready to snap, right? Because we get that way sometimes. Okay, as we just talked about, in the Commonwealth Marathon Monday, and this coming up on a couple holidays consecutive, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, Marathon, Patriots Day, in a row, meaning people are going to have some time off. Well, when you get that time off, what you realize is you needed that time off because your things are starting to just pile up. Okay, and then somebody gestures or says something, and you're ready to, what? Excuse me? You ready to go right back at them? Okay, because you're tired. All right, and you need that distance. You need to step away. Back to Rory McIlroy, that he's so, from my perspective, even keeled and approachable and considerate that you forget to remember that he's under unyielding pressure. Right? saw a clip. Might be able to get this for you on the screen. We conclude these episodes, with stuff from the culture, and there's a couple things that we're going to get to, just in terms of, just perspectives and different takes. I told you Instagram is fascinating to me in terms of all the different, and that's the algorithm and the brave new world that we're living in. But I just keep getting these gems, of just right these different contributors that, and then some just there's a lot of podcasts and a lot of very interesting, intriguing clips. So that'll be on the back end of Sand City Sports. But again, he just seems to have that way about him. The clip that I was referring to is, what happens? The deep sea divers, these folks, these master swimmers that world records that they hold, when they come back up, right? Modern science, you get what's called, quote unquote, the bends, but there's nitrogen, small nitrogen bubbles in the blood, so they have to go into a decompression chamber. Got to go into that decompression chamber after the deep sea diving. Okay? To just allow, and that's what golfers have to do. All athletes, because sports is pressure, but particularly the golfers. Especially if you're in the hunt, and there's only going to be one winner. So everybody else is setting up for that second place. All right. My view of Rory, is that he was always able to get in that decompression chamber just in his process to be approachable, thoughtful, considerate, appreciative in his interaction with the fandom and with the media. Okay. Is he perfect? No. If somebody come in, well, he did this and he said this to that person, he probably did, because he's human. But all I'm telling you right now, before we get into how that happened, you know what I mean, is we'll get some of the back nine. I mean, this championship was intriguing to me, and I think others, because we were looking at, maybe not a Greg Norman situation. Okay, the Shark. Still to this day, I'm upset he did not get his Masters championship. That mid-90s when he was ahead and he just collapsed down the stretch and it got in a slippery slope and it didn't happen. He ended up never winning a Masters. Okay. Greg Norman, solid. Greg Norman was Tiger Woods for me before Tiger Woods. He was that dude in golf. Growing up, I was like, that guy's got swag. That guy, he make me want to watch golf. I like that guy. I'm rooting for that guy. And, he had the historic collapse on, final round, back nine in the Masters. Now, Rory did not have that large of a lead to put it in, but he just could not get out of his own way. And opportunity after opportunity, he just, and that's got to be wild. Anybody, I hope everybody's morning was pretty good. Let's go ahead and check and see. Okay. People are tuning in, tuning out on the social medias. I appreciate you very much. Some folks on the YouTube and the Twitch, like, comment, subscribe. All right. Let me know how you feel, good, bad, or indifferent. Hope everybody's, like I said, Monday, my Monday mornings, is touch and go. It's touch and go on Monday mornings, and that was my experience. A little bit of Murphy's Law. We know what Murphy's Law is. Let's see if we can. We might have to come back. We might have to come back. Get a little Spike Lee 25th hour. If we can get a little bit of Murphy's Law. Yes, this is the clip that I need. Can I get it? Let's see if we can get this clip from 25th Hour. I don't even know what. No. Taking me to this. No. It's not you. What is this yarn clip about? No. I can't trust this. Not YouTube. Let me see if I can get Spike Lee 25th Hour. You have Spike Lee at 20 minutes. No, okay. I was like, do you have the whole movie? No, that's not the whole movie. Shout out to Spike Lee. Shout out to 25th Hour. I can't get the clip here. And this is not great production. Hold on. And what does this have to do with Rory McIlroy? We're going to have to go full circle here. I can't mention the Spike Lee joint and then disappoint the people. I can't do that. Let me know what you think, folks. A little bit meandering right now. It has to be this way. It has to be this way. Okay? Brave New World. No more Blockbuster. Okay? But do yourself a favor and go ahead and check out 25th Hour. You heard it here first, second, and third. I'm dating myself with the... You won't be disappointed. Let's go.
You can't see me being a father?
No. Well, I can see you fathering children. I can see you raising it.
I would raise my own chalupas.
Well, we're definitely not having any kids together if you're going to be calling them chalupas.
There goes Doyle.
You have the worst time meeting ever.
Montgomery Brookman.
Oh.
I'm Agent Flood with the Drug Enforcement Administration.
Oh.
Everything's gotten so strange, Bob. The only people I trust are you and guys I grew up with.
What do we say to him?
We'll say nothing. He's going to hell for 7 years. What am I going to do? Wish him luck? Champagne for my real friends. And real pain for my sham friends.
There you
Can't believe
go.
you brought my student in here.
You haven't done anything wrong yet.
What do you mean yet?
25th
She's the only
Hour.
girl I've ever kept fantasizing about after I slept with her. Is that normal? That's a pretty good kind of normal.
We haven't talked about this at all. You know, this is our last night.
No, it's not our last night. My last night. I watched him ruin his life. The last 10 years, I've been watching him get deeper and deeper. I look at these people around me and I'm thinking, these are my friends? I don't even know these people.
He doesn't trust me.
What reason does he have not to trust you? I got one idea, but I need a big favor from you. Now, if he runs, he's gone. He ain't coming home. If he pulls the trigger, they close the casket. They lock him away, he's gone. You'll never see him again.
Stay with me.
No, I gotta do one more little thing.
There he is. Save that away for later.
You gather your family together and tell them the whole story. Who you are, where you come from. And then you ask them if they know how lucky they are to be there.
This will be the best night of my life. Best night of my life.
How do we get there from the Masters? Okay, let me tell you, folks. First of all, the Spike Lee joint. I feel like I just, what they call that? I feel like I put some people up on game right there. Shout out to that show, Up on Game, Saturdays, Fox Sports Radio, LeVar Arlington, Plaxico Burst, TJ Hushman-Jada. We don't play hate, we congratulate here on Sand City Sports. You talk about Up on Game, check that out. Now, the game that I just provided to folks, and I don't think there's two ways about this. Okay, because a lot of y'all didn't know about 25th Hour. You didn't know about 25th Hour because it's one of these undercover Spike Lee joints that is classico. Classico. You will not be disappointed when you see 25th Hour. Oh, I got to go search on streaming and this and that and the third. Your boy that's me. I just gave you a gem if you're willing to unwrap it. That's what I just gave you. Okay? Please appreciate and go ahead and see 25th Hour. All right? I feel like, we talk about Spike Lee and Do the Right Thing. Got no help, no corporate sponsorship. Okay, Spike Lee talks about this. Nike, all this brand placement that he had in that wasn't getting no love. Okay, but it still launched Spike's career. All right? 25th Hour, you're a fan, you don't even know it. You don't even know that you're a fan of this film that you haven't seen, but I hope you will see. How do I know that you're a fan that you don't know this? Okay? How do I know this? And I've mentioned this before, but it's okay. Saying so. And we're coming back to Rory. We are coming back to Rory. Because it said 25th Hour was a film based on a screenplay, based on a novel, written by who? See, we're going to have a little bit of suspense today on Sand City Sports. We got to have a little bit of suspense. And we are coming back to Rory McIlroy, but there's going to be a little bit of suspense on Sand City Sports. All right, because I'm trying to. Okay. Written by whom? Oh! That was a spoiler. And we coming back to Rory McIlroy. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. But first we got, we have to. You get the point. I was thinking to myself the other day, I had to go back and do my Sopranos. Had to check out, and I was like, man, this intro, you can't have a great series without a great intro. And I was thinking like the greatest intros of all time. Obviously, Game of Thrones is up there. Breaking Bad, the different iterations of The Wire, The Sopranos. That's a story for another day. I had that conversation. The best television show intros. Cheers is up there. Wonder Years is up there. Can't have a great show without a great intro. Right? Speaking of which. So I gave you the 25th Hour. Go ahead and check that out. I gave you the connection. I talked about it now. Visual learners. We visualize this. This guy, you know what I mean? Hold on. We need a better picture. You saw Rory in the mountaintop. Now we're gonna get a better picture of Rory, and we're gonna square the circle, if you will. Rory McIlroy, Masters. We're gonna complete the circle here. Right? Yeah, that's the imagery I need. Hold on. Nope. Get up and out of here. No. It's not I don't need any of these clips. Nope. Got to go. More production delays here. Got to get better at this. I don't want to see after we won. I want to see while he's in the arena. There we go. There we go. And we're making the connections now. It's taking some time, but connections are being made. How did we get to Game of Thrones from Rory McIlroy? What's going on here? Who is this, thinking, who does this guy think he is? Let's make the connection to Rory McIlroy from Game of Thrones, from 25th Hour. All right? It's because you will learn. This is no spoilers. No spoilers here. Okay? But, hold on, let me just see. Folks might want to jump on. Let me just say. We can't access this email. Another. Okay. Can't access one email. Can send to another account. And now I'm rushing, so I can't stand bad production. But all right, we're gonna finish on Rory. We got to get to the NBA. It's been almost a half an hour, bouncing all around. Let's make the connection. What I learned, 25th Hour, Spike Lee joint, David Benioff collab. I learned about Murphy's Law. All right? Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. And that was Rory McIlroy's experience yesterday, specifically on the back nine. That's what makes this championship distinctive for me. Okay? It would have been a collapse. He had a 3-stroke. He didn't have a huge lead. He had a lead that he was on the verge, right there, of losing. But within his continual slide, there were shots that, he couldn't putt to save his life. But some of his approach shots were out of this world. Okay? And then how he played that playoff hole 18 after missing a putt to put himself in the playoff spoke volumes for me. Okay? He did not give way to the fear, the anxiety, the frustration, the anger. Okay? He hit a bad shot, bad hole, double boat, and then he stabilized himself as things were crumbling around him. That's what looms large to me about this championship. Yeah, we see him, and once it's all said and done. But the fortitude, and Justin Rose was, his putt to get him to 11 under, to put himself in position. And then I thought that was so Spartan of Justin Rose, how he just finished and then he went to the, practice green and was just waiting. Rory went to minus 12, he's like, okay, you're on the practice, but he was just ready. And it turned out he had another opportunity. He played a solid hole. He just didn't birdie it. And that's who was chasing Rory down. So happy for Rory. Feel that he's deserving. Anybody's deserving. Okay? But he just consistently, continually needed to battle back. And against himself. Okay? How do you miss free throw after free throw after free throw and then step to the line with confidence? Right? Let me say here. me say here, what is this? Copy the link. Go. Folks might want to jump on the show. And we'll make that available. And then get back. So credit to Rory, to the victor. I think this is what I was looking for. Go the spoils. And a great championship and a great champion. All right. And a distinctive finale. Because the leader stumbled, fell, was caught, composed himself, and surged again. Right? That is unusual. A lot of times, no matter how talented you are, when things start to go sideways, they go all the way sideways. And you can't counter that negative momentum. This case, Rory, and again, because it's not a team sport, it's not as though you can project or avoid blame when things are going wrong. As we said, as we showed, Rounders, Joey Kanish, you did it to yourself. Okay? Talk to me about it. You did it to yourself. And that's what you have to sit with. That's what you have to live with. That's what you have to push through in the game of golf when these mistakes are happening. And Rory, his caddy, they stayed positive, stayed focused. And the recovery, and then to have another, as I said, surge was quite impressive. And so to the victor go the spoils. Tip of the hat. Rory McIlroy, Grand Slam champion. And did not happen in terms of this championship. Did not happen overall, as we're talking about an 11-year gap. But it happened. All right. It was great for the game, and then just great in the world of sports. Okay, folks, we are going to shift gears. Got to talk a little bit NBA playoffs. Play-in starting tomorrow. And it's a beautiful thing. See if we can get... No. All right. So we got a miniature. Yeah, hold on. That's not... I just had my bracket, and now my bracket poof up in smoke. What is going on here? Let's go around the world. Okay. So the Facebook is still good. YouTube is still, IG still rocking. The Twitter, the YouTube, the Twitch. All right. We still got to get a couple things in order. X that out. I heard you, Game of Thrones. All right, let's get the bracket. Only one place to go. And we got to take a look because it's in a book. A Reading Rainbow. Folks, I got going with the Masters. Before we get into the NBA and bouncing around, I have to give a shout out. I got to give a shout out to Mr. Graney's home room class. The best and brightest. They said, oh, can you get, all right, got to give a shout out to that different specific group of talented young people. Shout out to Mr. Graney's homeroom, okay? And all of the best and brightest, the young people working hard, moving on to their future success, right? And again, he said, hey, okay, we shout them out. And, one of the things for me, as I said, this is the passion project, and so, you just work with young folks coming up, going through the intermediate and the high school years and very savvy, they're content creators and have different platforms, whether it be gaming, whether it be a specific interest, and you say, okay, how can, it's reciprocal is the point that I'm getting at. Okay, they say, okay, saw the channel and all right, good, but then at the same time, they have an awareness and an understanding that I don't have in terms of the social media space, and are talented and build up their platforms and go from there. All right, and so that's my view. This is my passion project that I'm more than happy to share, and then also love to see other creatives doing things that are positive, doing things that are productive, doing things that are uplifting for themselves and others. So I had to get that shout out. Okay, now we moving in. Talk about NBA. Okay, no, X that out. All right, so let's. Okay, this in the West. How the heck are the Miami Heat? How the heck are the Miami Heat always in the play-in? And like barely in the play-in. I do not understand that. Got some technical difficulties. But then we gotta keep this moving and grooving, folks. Sand City Sports, we 40 minutes into our check-in on this Monday. Spring has arrived. Spring has arrived. And yes, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing right now. Okay. Just Heat in the 10th spot is, perplexing to me. But let's go over to the Western Conference, where I don't know how best to say this. You get what you pay for. It is what I'm on right now. All right. And so the Kings, you want to fire a capable coach. The Mavericks, you want to fire an exceedingly capable player. You get what you pay for. Okay. Seeing the Kings and the Mavericks holding on to the play-in for dear life. You get what you pay for. All right. And both had to be the smartest guys in the room, go against the conventional understanding, dare I say wisdom. Mike Brown been a part of many a championship team coming up under Greg Popovich, his tutelage, working with the Golden State Warriors. Mike Brown's won some championships. Not as a head coach, but, as a lead assistant. And he had the Kings. Suns, different story in terms of, I have to touch on the Suns because 4 coaches in 4 years can't go uncovered by Sand City Sports. Look, I mean, another way of saying this is what goes around comes around. We're not all the way there because these moves are going to take a couple more years to really, be understood in their fullness. But for me, first, second, third, and last, okay, both of these organizations made abysmal, egregious, awful, dare I say, we'll leave it at awful, decisions in getting rid of Mike Brown and getting rid of Luka Doncic. So playing on 3. Okay, this whole idea of quote unquote tanking, which has never sat right with me in a league that is very aware, is the word I'm going to use, of the destinations for their incoming phenoms. Patrick Ewing landed in New York. LeBron James landed in his hometown of Cleveland. Victor Wembanyama landed in the organization that took Tim Duncan to greatness. Okay, so the NBA is very careful, let's say, in terms of where generational players end up. Is Cooper Flag generational? No, he's not generational. He's good. Okay, but we're not going to put Cooper Flag beside a LeBron James, a Kobe Bryant, an Allen Iverson. He's very talented. He's a talented young man. And, if somebody had to lose in that game against Houston, okay, all right. So whether it be the Mavericks, whether it be the Kings, NBA, I'm saying I wouldn't want Cooper to go to either of these places. For me, Cooper goes to Philly or Cooper goes to Toronto. Masai Ujiri in Toronto, Daryl Morey in Philly. All right, stability. You can even put Brooklyn in there. Let him go to Brooklyn. Joe Tsai, capable owner who righted that ship after they had a championship team that didn't need a coach. Who's the odds-on favorite for Coach of the Year now? Going to keep saying that as long as it has to be said. All right, so in terms of the Kings and the Mavs, these are just both teams limping into the play-in. Kings a bit more healthy. Mavs without Kyrie and AD, so they're more healthy. Are they more embarrassed? Right? Nobody's really upset, aside from Kings fans, that the season was tanked when they got rid of a capable and valued coach in Mike Brown. Like the Kings fandom understands and understood what that move meant. That essentially, they're tanking the season. But in the general atmosphere, I was going to say lexicon refers to, speech and your words. In the general atmosphere, there isn't this animus related to Mike Brown not being with the Kings. How do people feel about Luka Doncic not being with the Mavericks? Okay, all right then. All right. The fandom and then just people around the league still perplexed. And then for the true blue fans, seething mad, spitting mad. You know, Celtics say, "Oh, we're going to trade JT and JB, for Klay Thompson, for an aging star." Two guys in their prime for a star true who's at the tail end of their prime. And a draft pick here and there. Never mind the 5 and 6 draft picks that my New York Knicks gave away for Mikal Bridges, which will be paying off in spades this playoffs. Keeping close tabs on the Thibs slander. But let's go. Okay, we'll touch on it next, but okay. So Kings, Mavs, getting what they paid for. Advantage Kings just because the Mavs have nobody. All right, and the Kings, well, not well constructed in my view. You essentially just made yourself the Bulls West. Okay, they're healthier than the Mavericks. Okay, Memphis, Golden State. I favor Memphis in this one. Hold on. Memphis also fired their coach. Take that back. Golden State. Least we could say for the Kings is, they got rid of Mike Brown at a reasonable time in the season. Not two shakes of a lamb's tail before the playoffs started. So Memphis imploding. Golden State onto the 7th seed. All right, now Memphis and the Kings. That is interesting because Memphis, by far, the better team, but they don't have their leadership. They have no leadership. Whereas Doug Christie's been there for a minute or 3. So it should be Memphis, but they want to go ahead and fire, it's, a ship doesn't need a skipper. Can sail itself. Advantage Kings. That's right, Memphis. Go from being a 2 or 3 seed to out of the playoffs, as far as I'm concerned. You lose to Golden State. You face up against a Kings team who you're more talented than, but they're more together, just having been in the same mode all season, whereas you guys just entered a brave new world, a week ago. I say advantage Kings. I have the Mavericks and the Grizzlies. Team that made it to the finals last year. Team that was top 3 in the West all season. Have them both out of there. Out of there. Because of the root dysfunction that they walk in every single day. Okay, so that would put the Kings and OKC in the first round. OKC in 4. Speaking of when you have leadership in an organization that can take young talent, the Amen Thompsons, the Jabari Smith Jr.'s, the Jalen Greens. And by the way, Houston has Reed Shepherd, and he doesn't even, they're bringing him along slowly. Are you kidding me? But, they could be the Pelicans. Pelicans have had young talent, for a number of years. A lot of teams have young talent. Detroit had plenty of young talent last year. And a coach who was burnt out and made it clear he was burnt out, and you brought him back anyway. So what the Rockets are with a bunch of young talented players that have actual leadership versus Memphis, a lot of young talented players, i.e. Ja, i.e. Bane, i.e. Jaren Jackson Jr., without leadership. Golden State, a little bit older now. But the point is the same. You look where the Rockets are in the grand scheme. Number 2 in the doggone Western Conference with capable leadership and ownership that's just going to allow that leadership to lead. And that leadership being Ime Udoka, having learned from very difficult situations in Boston how to handle his success. Interesting that Rockets are 2 and Celtics are 2. Okay. What Joe Mazzulla has maintained, Ime Udoka had to build up in Houston. And that's a strong statement, them being the 2 seed. Very strong. So at 2, Houston and Golden State, interesting. Houston in 5. All right, Golden State doesn't know who they are. Works for a couple games, excuse me. Houston is loaded with talent. Didn't even mention Sengun. Just mentioning, Amen Thompson, who was on my fantasy team last year. Kicked myself a little bit, but I did get Steven Castle, so I do have some rooks that are on point. But Amen Thompson is modern day, is the next look Iguodala. Just wreaking havoc defensively, and his player efficiency, and again, Ime Udoka's leadership, off the charts. So Thompson is a problem. Jalen Green, he shoots it. It doesn't even look like it touches the net half the time. His shot is so pure. And he's explosive. So hide your kids, hide your wife. What's up, bro?
What's going on? What's going on?
Let me put my headphones. Let me get my headphones. Talking playoffs. Going through the Western Conference. And I was just singing the praises of Ime Udoka to be a number 2 seed in the Western Conference. Meanwhile, teams like they're
getting bounced in the first round.
Yeah, agree to disagree. I have them beating Golden State in 6. Yeah, Houston's loaded with young talent. Young talent that has actual leadership to maximize said talent. Talking about Amen Thompson, who's a defensive.
Leadership from Amen Thompson. Gonna take out Steph Curry? Wow. Hot take.
Amen Thompson is a defensive.
Amen Thompson.
Yeah, he's a defensive nightmare. Jalen Green can score with the best of them. Sengun can score. You got leadership with Van Vliet. Jabari Smith can get buckets. They don't even play Reed Shepherd, who's a dude. They're stacked with young talent, and MA can get the best out of them. That's why they're the 2 seed, and Golden State's in the play.
Well, they get bounced in the first round for sure.
By the Warriors?
By the Warriors, yes.
Okay. I got Houston 6, max. They're the real deal, in my opinion.
It's crazy talk.
We will see. We'll come back to this. We'll revisit this. I have the Kings in the 8th seed because Dallas doesn't have any players and is still under the shadow and fog of the Luka disastrous trade. So I have Dallas getting bounced by the Kings, who are also at dumpster fire levels, but less so than Dallas because Mike Brown has been out for longer, so they've had a chance to establish, what they want to do this season and be able to execute a thing here or a thing there. But the Kings are essentially the Bulls West, without Billy Donovan to coach them. So I have the Kings. Hold on. Now here's the thing for me. I don't know what the heck is going on with Memphis without Taylor Jenkins. So I have them losing to Golden State. And then you put a Sacramento team that is talented but not together, because they still have DeMar DeRozan, they still have Zach. I mean, they have the Bulls team, but they still got Keegan Murray. They still have Sabonis. So they have talent. Memphis is the better team, has been a better team all year, but they don't have leadership since they got rid of Taylor Jenkins. I have the Kings beating the Grizzlies. Thoughts on that?
I don't think I can see that one.
So you got
The Kings are once it comes to playoff time, and it's who's going to be getting those jump shots, Levine or DeRozan. I don't see them coming together and winning.
okay. So you're saying that the Kings.
We've seen this story before.
All right. So you have the Golden State at 7 and Memphis at 8.
Yes.
So that puts Memphis and OKC in the first round. How long and who wins?
That's OKC. I think they sweep them, to be honest.
I do as well. First round's a sweep for OKC. They're on a championship trajectory. Okay, so Houston and Golden State. I have Houston in 6.
I got Golden State in 6.
Okay, competitive series. Nobody kind of leaving anybody else in the dust. I look at Golden State. Started hot with Jimmy Butler.
Nope. I got Golden State in 5.
I'm taking that as disrespect.
Yeah, I got Golden State in 5.
Team that earns the number 2 seed in the competitive Western Conference.
Yeah, that's fine. Remember when the Jazz had the 1 seed and they lost to the 8 seed? What was the 8 seed Warriors with Baron Davis?
Jazz had the Dallas was the 1 seed. Utah was like the 3, or I forget what Utah was.
All right, well, I'm giving same picture, same scenario. That's who the Rockets are, and that's what is going down. It will be bounced in the first round, just like the Jazz were.
Okay. So you're putting this Rockets team up against a Dallas team coached by Avery Johnson. This is the pre-Jason Smith era of Dallas basketball. I'm going to say Ime Udoka is not a young Avery Johnson.
I don't know why you're sleeping on Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. Like they don't perform in the playoffs.
Why didn't they perform against the Clippers and the Spurs to stay out of the play-in?
They put up 30 points. What are you talking about?
And lost the games.
What are you talking about? Why did they perform? They put up 30. Each one I think they both put up 30.
You can't beat a Spurs team without Victor Wembanyama?
You're talking about one game. Okay, so you're going to tell me anybody's body work on the Rockets is anywhere close to what has Steph Curry done in the playoffs? Even Jimmy Butler. That's crazy. You know basketball. That's wild.
I do know basketball, which is why I'm.
That's wild. All right.
I have to rub my eyes to understand how Golden State. Well, I mean, the 7th seed is not terrible in the West.
That is wild.
It's not terrible.
That's wild. The fact that you think that Steph Curry is about to get bounced in the first round by a Houston Rockets team led by Jalen Green.
What seed is Houston?
2 seed.
Okay, so you are what your record
What
says
happened to
you
the
are.
2 seed last year?
Who the heck was the 2 seed last year? I have to look that up. That's a good question. What the heck?
Denver.
How did they break?
They got bounced.
It was what? It was Dallas and OKC. OKC was the 1 seed last year.
Minnesota beat Denver in the first round.
Minnesota beat Denver in the second round. Minnesota and Denver was round 2. So I don't know. I forget who the two, OKC ended up, OKC was 1, so Dallas was 4 or 5. And then Denver was 2. Which means Minnesota was 3 or 6.
They were probably 6.
Okay. And look, I think Minnesota was 3 last year, though. No, Minnesota was pretty good last year during the regular season. That's neither here nor there. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and then we'll finish it off on this take. I think the Rockets are for real. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. And folks are going to get familiar with a couple names. You're going to get familiar with Amen Thompson to start with, because he is going to be giving the Warriors fits defensively. Amen Thompson is the new look Andre Iguodala. You heard it here, first, second, third, and fourth. Sengun in the paint is a problem. He was an all-star. The Houston Rockets should have had 2 all-stars. That was hogwash. Jalen Green can get buckets with the best of them. His shot is water, and he is explosive. Jabari Smith is also a top 5 pick with top 5 talent that will get isolation matchups and convert and get buckets. Fred VanVleet has been there before. He's won a championship. He can lead this team. Reed Shepherd, he's not a nobody. He's a very skilled, efficient rookie that can come in and give you minutes along with their bench players. Dylan Brooks, in tremendous shape, is going to go out there and Dylan Brooks certainly has no love lost for the Warriors. You are what your record says you are. Houston's a very talented, very together, on a mission. The dynasty has faded. Houston in 6. Any last thoughts?
Man. Warriors in 5.
All right. Coming back to that Warriors in 5. Okay, Lakers versus T-Wolves. This is intriguing to me because how the heck did the Lakers get the 3 seed and they lost like 7 of the last 10 games? So what the heck happened there?
Lakers in 5. T-Wolves really ended the season. I don't like how they ended the season, so Lakers in 5.
Lakers in 5. Okay, so the T-Wolves, to me, the murmurs that I've been hearing is that they're starting to put it together and get this whole Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert front court situation going on. Their coach is solid. He's been solid. The Timberwolves didn't make a fool of themselves like the Memphis Grizzlies and fire a good coach. Two shakes of a lamb's tail before the playoffs. So the Lakers, how do you they ended the season on a skid. Excuse me. And now they go into the playoffs. I do favor I just don't know what to think. Let's take a look at this. So Minnesota. So the Lakers are they're 1 game ahead of Minnesota. Minnesota's 49 wins. The Lakers are 50 wins. So the Lakers getting the 3 seed was just a bunch of tie breaks. They have the same record as Denver and the Clippers and 1 win ahead of Minnesota, but it's just tie breaks. So Minnesota could easily have home court advantage here. And then let's see again how the Lakers finished their season.
Minnesota slipped up at the end of the season and lost home court. So, they were playing well come towards the end of the season. Started, I would say, slipping, letting gas off. I don't know. But Rudy Gobert matched up against Luka in the playoffs is not a good look. Pick and roll on Rudy is a nightmare.
No doubt.
So
Minnesota finished the season on a 3-game win streak. Okay. Lakers finished the season 6-4. All right, so you're talking about
And they also the Warriors also blew a 30-point lead to the Bucks. That would have gave them the 3 seed. So,
all right, duly noted. So you talk about the switch of Rudy having to guard Luka, and that's what was exploited last year when the Mavericks, I thought, beat a more talented team in Minnesota. Frankly, I thought Minnesota was trending, and Dallas just out-schemed them under the capable leadership of Jason Kidd. But this matchup, who the heck's going to guard Anthony Edwards? Nobody. Okay, so
what are you talking about? Nobody. Vanderbilt. What are you talking about? Vanderbilt will guard Anthony Edwards.
Okay, Vanderbilt is not going to guard Anthony Edwards. He's
defender.
a decent defender, but he's not stopping Anthony Edwards. So.
On camera. He will guard Anthony Edwards. Now, will Anthony Edwards go off? Absolutely. But I don't see. Yeah. Who's guarding Braun?
Who's guarding LeBron? Who do they have?
It would either be all right. So McDaniels can't guard both of them. He's going to guard Luka or he's going to guard Braun. So
he'll guard Luka, and so you might have Anthony Edwards guarding LeBron.
No, absolutely not.
Let's take a look. What do you mean, absolutely not? Anthony Edwards can't defend a 40-year-old LeBron? What are we talking about here?
I don't see Anthony Edwards guarding Braun.
I don't see why he wouldn't.
Because he's 6'4", 6'5".
And Cock Diesel. You could put Naz Reid on LeBron.
Lord.
Naz Reid can play the 4 a little bit, not advantage LeBron. That's not the best matchup, but if you want to rest Ant-Man and have him play off the ball, then
Ant needs to play offense. Him guarding LeBron hurts the Wolves more than you can, on both sides of the ball. So, all right, they will lose the series quickly if Braun guards Ant. If Ant's guarding Braun quickly.
I got T-Wolves in 7. And 6 is not out of the question for me. I like this Lakers team. I root for Luka. I root for LeBron.
Man, you just going Hall of Famers out in the first round. You're just new blood. Do you not realize the Thunder? It took a little time for the Thunder to get to where they are. Do you think the Rockets are better than the Thunder were last year?
I think the Clippers are a team that is getting the most out of the least. They're well coached. They're a great organization.
I think the Clippers beat the Nuggets.
The Thunder are going to beat the Clippers in 5 games max. The Thunder are
That's crazy. Kawhi Leonard is playing at the Finals MVP level right now. It's great. That's crazy.
Did you just mention Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs?
Shots. Who?
Did you just say Kawhi Leonard in playoffs in the same sentence with confidence?
Have you not watched him at the end of the season? Have you not seen him in the Toronto Raptors? Have you not been watching basketball? Because now I'm starting to really think, where have you been? Have you watched the Clippers game in the past month and a half? They've been the best team in the NBA. Where have you been? Where have you been?
I have been watching basketball for the last decade and have not seen Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs.
Have you been watching basketball in the last month? I'm not talking decade, month. Because the Clippers have been playing the best basketball.
The Clippers are a first-rate organization. I love the Clippers.
If you ask anybody on that team in that organization who runs that team, it goes through Kawhi Leonard.
Which is my point. I do not trust Kawhi Leonard in any NBA playoffs.
He's played 31 games this year, Andre. What are you talking about? This is the Toronto Raptors s perfect. We play him for a little bit, get him ready going for the playoffs, and he's fine.
I love that theory.
I trust it. No, I mean it worked and it won a championship. So you can love it all you want. It's proven to have worked. You like proof? There it is.
It won a championship.
It did, actually.
7 years ago.
It won a championship. And guess what? He's still top. I mean, he was playing like he was the best player on the floor with Steph in that Warriors Clippers game. He was the best player in that game, the whole game. The whole game.
All right.
Did you watch the game? Because like for you to say, like even question Kawhi after watching even that last game is crazy.
I question Kawhi because he hasn't been healthy in 6 years.
All right. Well, guess what? He's played more games every single one of those years leading to the playoffs. This year he's only played 31 games. Look that up.
So, great. I'm hopeful. I love, I want Kawhi, He hasn't been healthy since the bubble. He hasn't played in the playoffs since the bubble. So everything that you just said is correct.
So you magically think he just said his knees are feeling good. He's actually playing top tier. You obviously don't watch the Clippers. It's point blank obvious. You're on the East Coast. Clippers games might be a little too late. You don't watch the Clippers because they've been balling. They have been balling.
Okay, so you're talking to a Clippers stan who never misses an opportunity to praise what I consider. I haven't said they're the best organization, but I consistently give them props as a first-rate organization. Shout out to Daddy Warbucks.
There's only two first-rate organizations in the NBA, and that's three. Warriors, Celtics, Lakers. That's it. Sorry.
All right. So in terms of organizations, right? You OKC, first of all, in terms of organizational strength, Boston. Okay, but and then you can throw
OKC has never won a championship. So what are you talking about? Even when they were the Supersonics, did the Supersonics even win any NBA Finals?
We're talking about 2025 and like today.
Okay, talking about 2025 and today, first-rate organizations. Okay, they have a lot of great young talent and a lot of draft picks. They need to win a finals. Andre, we're talking championships here. They haven't even been there.
Right. So Oklahoma City.
So in the last decade.
Yeah. They haven't been to the finals since 2011, 2012. What I'm saying is that now you want to talk about legacy-wise? Sure, you're right. Legacy-wise, Celtics have 18, Lakers have 17, Golden State has close to 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there. So they have a strong history. Okay. But in terms of today, what franchises are ascending, what franchises are descending, what franchises are just stagnant, which saw a good clip with Austin Rivers, which we'll get to conclude the show, about the league and how teams can quietly position themselves for the lottery versus competing for a championship, especially with the second apron now, the new CBA. So we'll conclude the show with that. I was talking about in real time, now, what organizations are surging forward, and then what and so the Oklahoma City Thunder are at the forefront. You can also put the Cleveland Cavaliers right there. And, of course, the Boston Celtics. Yes, their ownership is changing, but they're getting hot at the right time. They're not what they were last year in terms of being world beaters. They have lost a little bit of their luster. That's just a fact. Other teams have, we don't know you don't know something until you see it. Okay,
you know
but
who I think got worse? You know who I think got worse? The Knicks. That's who I think got worse. And
so
I think they're in trouble. I think they're in trouble. With Cade Cunningham coming to town, I think they're in trouble. Because every single good team they played was an L this year. Every good team they played was a loss. That calculates to first round exit. So Thibodeau better hope your starters save you, because Cade Cunningham and the Pistons are back. And they're going to win their first playoff series in like 15, 17 years. It's been a long time. Detroit is coming for the Knicks. This is like the 90s all over again. But again, Detroit has winners. Like, they have a winning history. Even though they've had some losses, they at least got some chips. I don't think we could say that about, like, the Knicks. We can't. We can't. So when y'all go to Detroit, I want the Knicks to look up and see what finals banners actually look like. All right? Look up there. And don't get nervous, because the pressure is on, and Cade Cunningham is on the way.
All right, so you're not the only one that I've heard that take from, and that people are jumping on the Detroit bandwagon, and all of a sudden they're world beaters, and Bickerstaff has come in there.
They're not world beaters. It's just the Knicks. The Knicks, when they get tested, they have showed their true colors all season. Now the playoffs are coming up, and you just expect them to morph into this new team. I'm not buying it. The Pistons are playing together. I think Cade Cunningham is a superstar. And this is his coming out party in New York City. What better way to set? I mean, you know who else has done it? Hasn't a man by Trae Young? Hasn't he torched y'all?
Trae had a good series when the Hawks made their move.
And they
made
beat y'all,
the
right?
Conference Finals that year.
Yeah,
Before getting knocked out by the eventual champion Milwaukee Bucks.
I feel very similar vibes with the Hawks coming in, just how they went into New York and they beat y'all. I feel the same exact vibes. Top tier point guard. I mean, I think Cade might be a little bit better than Trae, to be honest. And tough team. And Malik Beasley, I think he was in second threes. Tobias Harris, Jalen Duran. I mean, what happens when Cat gets hit in the mouth?
Karl Anthony Towns, the pride of Don Bosco in New Jersey.
What happens when Cat gets hit in the mouth?
Karl Anthony Towns, who came back to the tri-state area to put on for his city and win a championship. Karl Anthony Towns, who's been waiting to get back to the playoffs for the New York Knicks.
If he would have put on for a city, he would have beat a good team. The Knicks are with Ofer, Andre Ofer. That's zero. Was it 0 and whatever against the top 4 teams? Y'all did not beat one good team this year.
Didn't beat a good team, but took the Celtics to overtime last weekend.
Yeah, it's awesome. A loss is a loss. Are we talking horseshoes or are we talking basketball wins?
Okay, so for yourself and all the others, with this idea that the Detroit Pistons are somehow now world beaters. All right, let's get a couple things established. Detroit is 2 or 3 years away from any sort of possibility of contending, and that is dependent on a one Mr. Devin Booker casting his sail, heading out of Phoenix and returning to the motherland to play for the Pistons, okay? So that is the prospect, the possibility of Detroit becoming a serious team.
But
they're going to have to get
this year.
They're going to have to get Devin Booker to package him with Cade Cunningham under the leadership of Bernie Bickerstaff, JB Bickerstaff. Keep Jalen Duran, and then you can talk to me. This Detroit team, I credit Bickerstaff. They are much improved. They're an exciting team. He's unlocked Cade Cunningham. He's brought a culture there. You know who else has done something similar? That's right. Ime Udoka in Houston. Here's what's going to happen. My New York Knicks are going to come into this series healthy, ready, motivated Knicks in 5. This series is not going 6 games.
Detroit basketball.
What happened to the
Cade
Cleveland
Cunningham.
Cavaliers the last 2 playoffs against my New York Knicks? Gentlemen sweep. Thank you very much.
Detroit basketball. Hey, man. Cade Cunningham, I'm telling you. It's about to happen.
You talk about Cade Cunningham. Mikal
Party.
Bridges is going to put
His
bracelets
party.
on
Mikal
him.
Bridges is getting cooked. Cade Cunningham is the same size as Mikal Bridges. He's getting cooked.
And when Mikal is done, OG is going
he's
to
putting up 30 plus. First game, Cade Cunningham is putting up 30 plus. He might even average 30 for the series. Who is guarding this man?
He might even score 30 points in the first 2 games. All right, OG and Mikal Bridges are going to have bracelets on Cade Cunningham. Put him on lockdown. Okay, next.
You better put OG on him. You better put OG because then now he just creates. So, I mean, I just after this, I'm going to get on 2K and I'm going to play with the Pistons and I'm going to slap the Knicks because it's happening. I can believe it. I can see it. I like the Bulls. I like the Bulls over. Thank you. I like the Bulls over the Heat.
The Bulls over the Heat.
Bulls over
Last
the
time the Heat were in the play-in, didn't they make it to the finals?
Yeah, but you know they had a man by the man that you said is getting bounced in the first round, Jimmy Butler. But he's getting bounced this year in the first round. If I stand correctly, that's what you think.
He is getting bounced. They are getting bounced.
My money is on the Clippers, baby. I'm hyped. I'm hyped. This year I'm hyped. I might be getting jerseys. All right, I might be bringing out these jerseys. Because this about to be a playoffs.
Okay, so Jimmy Butler is playing against the Rockets, which is why I have him going home in the first round. All right, the Clippers are playing against a dumpster fire in the Denver Nuggets, which even if they were playing against a healthy
Who's
Nuggets,
guarding Jimmy Butler? You're confident Brooks shuts down Jimmy Butler?
Jimmy Butler, who came in hot, had that first early surge when he's in a new environment, and then
Man, the Warriors have been playing great basketball. Have you not been watching the end of this season? How these teams have been playing?
Warriors playing great basketball.
This is what I see the Rockets, and it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny to me. And the last game of the season, they said we're going to play our starters and we're going to try to beat the Nuggets to the best of our ability because we want to build momentum going into the playoffs. So they played their starters the whole game and came out and lost by 20 plus to the Nuggets. Like y'all aren't like that yet. Sorry. Y'all can win these regular season games because guess what? In the NBA, 82 games, when you're playing the Hornets, that's a dub. You're playing the Spurs, most of the time, yes, that's a dub. Okay? So, yeah, the Rockets played hard all season. Good for them. But come playoff time, the game changes. And they're going to see. They're going to see real fast.
Yeah, they will be seeing. And Ime Udoka is no stranger to Steph Curry and Golden State. They
and Steve Kerr is a better coach than Udoka. So if we want to get to X's and O's and who's going to be the better coach, and they still got Draymond.
They still have Draymond. That is correct. How he matches up against Jabari Smith or Sengun or Jalen Green or any of the other young Rockets thoroughbreds remains to be seen. So you're in Golden State. Yeah, they finished the season 7-3. On a bit of a heater. So we'll see how what they do against a Memphis team that doesn't have a coach or leadership. And then, doggone it, messed up my shot. Come back. Get it right. Shot is good. Okay. But as I said, I have Golden State beating Memphis based on continuity, and then I have them losing to the Rockets. I don't have it going 7. I have it going 6 games. Back to my New York Knicks. Yourself, a lot of others, real hot on Detroit.
You've been avoiding talking about. You've been avoiding.
There's nothing to avoid. I've established the Knicks in 5. Period. The series is not going further than 5.
No,
we are going to
Detroit
mollywop
6.
them.
Detroit actually wins game 1 at the Garden.
That's not happening.
Detroit
You're not winning
wins
game anything.
1 at the Garden, and Cade Cunningham puts up 30 plus.
All right.
Book it. 30 plus in the Garden, Cade Cunningham. Then everybody is, oh my, Detroit is back. Detroit's here. They're gonna win their first playoff series in 17 years on the Knicks' head. I can't wait.
All right, I can't wait to come back to this. All right, for you and a lot of other people, the Thibs slander is where it needs to be.
I mean, the Thibs
are feeling
slander
confident.
is you guys went over this year against the top 4 teams. Like it was
Right.
over 16. What's up with that?
Right. None of which is the Detroit Pistons.
Okay,
Right.
but what is up with going 0 for 16 against the top 4 teams?
Yeah. Oklahoma City's a problem. Cleveland's a problem. Boston's a problem. I haven't put the Knicks above any of those teams. But Detroit is none of those teams. Detroit
You
is
guys
an
lost to the
upstart.
Pistons. You lost to the Pistons every time too. So what's going on? I mean, the Pacers. Excuse me.
Yeah, the Pacers are good. Rick Carlisle knows his business. They're
The
healthy.
Pistons beat the Pacers.
Okay, last time I checked, the Pacers are a 4 seed. The Detroit is a 6 seed.
I mean, head to head, I think. What's the record head to head?
Go ahead, take a look. See what those games look like. Bottom line is this: bracelets for Cade Cunningham, Thibs, Bickerstaff. Have they locked horns before? What team did Bickerstaff used to coach? How did those playoff series go? Okay, thank you very much.
I mean, when's the last time Thibs won a playoff series? Last year?
He's been winning them consistently since the Knicks have been in the divisional round for the last 2 years. You know who they've been beating in the first round the last 2 years?
You've gotten out of the first round 2 years in a row?
Correct. You know who we beat 2 years in a row? That's right, the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know who their coach was? That's right, J.B. Bickerstaff. Who's a good coach. He's capable.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, Cade.
Plus on y'all.
Bracelets. We're going to put him on lockdown. Okay, he better enjoy the hour of sunlight he gets because the other 23 locked.
So I can't wait to be doing these shows with you, watching the Knicks crumble in the playoffs because it's going to be great. And we can actually bring back these old clips of me telling you Cade Cunningham is putting y'all in a box and sending you to Cabo. You're going fishing. Right. It's over.
All right. Cade Cunningham, good young man, family guy.
And then it doesn't matter, though. I mean,
his brother is a coach, and he seems to have a good head on his shoulders. So
the second
all due respect to Cade, but he's going to be at a vegan diner in early May. He eats healthy. He'll have plenty of time to get the best organic products and all the rest of that stuff. Knicks in 5. Okay. Another series I have going no more than 5 games is the Pacers and the Bucks. Dame not healthy, whatever. Giannis trying to hold on. By the way, I have the Bucks blowing it up in the offseason. I have Dame and Giannis quietly, forcefully. I'm done. So let's keep an eye on that because this is going nowhere fast.
That's going nowhere.
So those 2 stars are going to be looking for new destinations to reconfigure the NBA map. And Pistons over. Okay, let's take a look at this. I have the Magic over a capable Hawks team. So the Magic will play the Celtics. It's just too much Boston in 5 max in that series. And then I have the Hawks beating the Heat. Have the Hawks beating a good Heat team. Well, good, you can't count
I don't
Spoelstra
even
out in the
have the
playoffs,
Hawks.
but
I don't have
just
the
too much.
oh.
So the Hawks would play Cleveland in 4, just destroying the Hawks. So you have Cleveland and Indianapolis. I got Cleveland in, I'll say 6, but I could also say 5. I think Cleveland's that
Cleveland
good.
against who?
Cleveland against Indiana. I'll say Cleveland in 6, but I have no problem saying that's in 5. My Knicks against the Celtics, that's going 7 minimum. Minimum. I'll give the Celtics the 7-game series this year against the Knicks. Knicks, you are what your record says you are, and they have not, but they are. It's going to be a barnyard brawl in that second round. I've been saying that for a time. I'm saying it confidently now. Knicks Celtics is going 7. I will give it to Boston.
Knicks.
In 7.
Don't give me Knicks. Knicks are getting swept. Get your brooms. Get your brooms. If you don't want that, you don't want that series. I'll tell you that right now because you see it. You don't want that. You don't want that. You do not want.
Yeah.
We've already beat y'all 4 times this year. We beat you 4 times.
How did the game go on last 2 Saturdays ago?
Cool. Overtime, overtime. A win's a win.
Right.
And Drew Holiday didn't even play. What are you talking about?
Okay. It's late in the season.
Drew Holiday didn't even play. So what you talking about? Knicks don't have a bench. And once Thibodeau realizes that playing people 48 minutes in the playoffs is not going to work, it's not going to work. Y'all ain't like that. But it doesn't matter because y'all ain't beating the Pistons. So.
All right. We'll discuss some you feel so confident about that, what you're willing to throw down since,
Uh-oh, he said we'll be making some brotherly wagers. Uh-oh. He said I'm going to be sending you a text after the game.
Correct. You and everybody else that's on this Detroit, you guys want the Thibs. You guys want the smoke in the first round? Okay.
He said
all right.
He's taking wagers.
We'll see. We'll see how confident you are. We're gonna have that discussion off air. Okay.
He said he is taking wagers.
So I have my divisional round in the East: Cleveland in 6 against Indiana, Boston in 7 against New York. This is the question: Boston, Cleveland. It's going 7.
No,
I have Celtics in 7.
No, it's not. Boston, Cleveland's not going 7.
I have Celtics in 7.
It's not going 7.
But if Cleveland could do to Boston what Minnesota did to Denver, Cleveland's the real deal. Kenny Atkinson is an elite coach. They're the real deal. Boston, based on the Fantastic Four, really the Fantastic Five with Crispy P at center. But Holiday White is just a backcourt that I think people have forgotten
I'm just telling you right now, Crispy P.
How strong that backcourt is.
Like Crispy P playing the way he played against the Knicks. You bringing that to the playoffs, I'm getting another banner. Let's put it that way. I'm going to have another banner up there. I'm going to have 2. I really should have one from the 08 season. I think I'm going to get one for the 08 season.
No doubt. Okay, we had just checking. All right, we had some local sports action that's going on to check out. Okay, so let's go. And we're gonna do. I have some slice of life stuff that I have to get to. Some culture stuff. So I have the Rockets over the Golden State. I have Minnesota over the Lakers, the Clippers over the Denver, OKC, obviously. I have OKC over the Clippers in 6, maybe 5, 6. Minnesota and Houston. I have Houston over Minnesota in 7. I have OKC over the Rockets in 5. OKC Boston finals. It's going 7. Celtics in 7. That's my NBA championship. If you want to chime in there.
You got Celtics going back to back?
I have Celtics going back to back. Not sure if you have any takes before we go and look at some cultural things.
I agree. Celtics will be there, and they're one back to back. I'll be on the Cape too, and we can watch another Celtics victory in Brewster.
Okay. Take a look at some, and this is for my people on IG. Leave that up there. Apologize because when I go to open another IG, sometimes it freezes. So hopefully it'll keep playing, but if not, just let you guys know. We got a couple things to look at in the culture. And then as we come down the home stretch, a couple things to look at. So let's get them on the screen. Have to, get back to this account. And then we got to pull these things up. It'll be 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. And we'll go from there. Okay. No. We had a really good take from Will Smith, but we're going to take a look at something that a Boston area prospect said. That prospect being Michael Carter Williams. And we're going to break that down. This will be our first clip. Get at least 2 more. Stop sharing. And let's see what Michael Carter Williams has to say. Again, about the process of stardom. And how to maintain and how to navigate. Let's put the volume on.
I had deep depression. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, bro. Like, most importantly, I wasn't, a father to my child. I felt like I had no purpose in life. I didn't know, what I wanted. I didn't even know if I wanted to be alive at the time.
Make Channing Day 2 light skins again.
Y'all ain't wear the suits like when you had the president on you?
Nah,
you can ball. You ain't the president.
The failure of athletes comes from them attempting to live up to expectations.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I fell short of that because I never reached that goal, but it always pushed me. Aim for the stars and hit the moon.
Having been named Rookie of the Year, then the very next year traded.
I spent a lot of time trying to figure it out. I was disappointed. I felt like this organization just gave up on me.
Do you think it's advantageous to be a little more asshole-ish?
I think some guys have that luxury to do. I didn't have that luxury. My mind was telling me to do things that my body couldn't do sometimes. My fiance left me. I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing. And a week later, I got released from Houston. I was 6 feet deep, damn near. My grandfather won a poker game in this predominantly white neighborhood. And so he built his horse stable on that land.
How did that change you as a person? Because I was in Decatur in Atlanta.
Sometimes I was looked at as that black kid in, all white town. And sometimes I was looked at soft light-skinned kid from this, all white town.
Your game was multifaceted. Then like now you got Jason Kidd though.
You never want to meet your idols because you don't know who they are as people. When I got rid of all the emotions of everything that I felt growing up, the voices in my head about, people saying I suck or can't do this, I can't do that, that started to mean less to me as well.
I see the picture there with Kobe, the day that he passed. Is there any moments or memories that stick out?
Was you in the club with James Harden?
You heard what I said. She left me when I was in Houston, and I got released in Houston.
What was it like working to rebuild that relationship, rebuild that trust?
What I wanted to do with my life, type of morals do I have, being consistent in all those things that I've made changes to in my life is important. I was forced to self-reflect a little bit on, going through adversity, how am I going to handle it? Ebbs and flows, I think that was a big pivotal moment for me. You talk about everything in the locker room besides business and mental health. When I started paying attention to myself a little bit more, I started to be more confident and being like, man, I need to fix this. Like, I need some help outside of just me.
To live up to expectations.
I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I fell short of that because I never reached that goal, but it always pushed me. Aim for the stars and hit the moon.
Having been named Rookie of the Year, then the very next year traded.
I spent a lot of time trying to figure it out. I was disappointed. I felt like this organization just gave up on me.
Do you think it's advantageous to be a little more asshole-ish?
I think some guys have that luxury to do. I didn't have that luxury. My mind was telling me to do things that my body couldn't do sometimes. My fiance left me. I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing. And a week later, I got released from Houston. I was 6 feet deep damn near. My grandfather won a poker game.
Okay, we saw that. Okay, thoughts? Michael Carter Williams, Hamilton, Massachusetts. Any thoughts on his journey, his experiences?
Sounds like outside noise, and then fell into Houston, which was, you don't want to be around Houston when Harden was in Houston. Woo.
Indeed. A lot of distractions.
I mean, you got to, one thing about, I would say, once you get high level at any job, is you got to be prepared for the distractions. And if you're not, then it will expose you for not being prepared for the distractions.
Indeed. Yeah, for me, it's perspective as I kind of keep, there's a couple clips that we're going to get to, but, I really appreciate the honesty from him, just to be able to say, that, I was going, it's good when you can see that other side from the pro athletes, and that they are human and that they do go through things. And, that's one, thing.
I mean, I agree with that, but you got to think of it. It's not just pro athletes that hold themselves to higher standards. It's just because we watch sports. But like, for instance, a high level salesman, they put a lot of pressure on themselves to make a lot of money, and they have goals that they need to reach every single day. If you fall short of that, that's tolling. But the distractions will be there regardless of what you're doing.
No doubt. Let me just cue this other one up. So that's good. Yeah, like I said, I just shout out to Ryan Clark. Shout out to the Pivot. Quality platform.
Me and Ryan Clark have the same barber.
I did not know that. That is a small world.
So Ryan Clark, he coached his AAU team. Every time he comes through Phoenix, gets his haircut from my barber. They know each other from Louisiana.
Oh, wow. Small world that it is.
Yeah.
Got a connection to the Pivot.
Yep. I mean, I walked into the barbershop and he was sitting in a chair one time. And I was like, I was like, is that? All right. And I asked my barber. He was like, yeah, I grew up with him. Coached the AAU team. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, he's been cutting my hair for about 15 years. So
Shout out to the Pivot. Shout out to Ryan Clark, ESPN contributor. Stalwart. But no, that clip resonates with me for a couple reasons. Again, Michael Carter Williams is a Massachusetts prospect, played for BABC. Going to Syracuse, Rookie of the Year. Obviously the Commonwealth, very proud of that. And just his success that he's had. But then the challenges that go along with that. And
I want to know what he meant by you don't ever want to meet your idols.
Yeah, to me, I think that's that the people that they're human beings.
Yeah.
So they're flawed people. You get close.
I think
that's one of the things. That we'll touch on. That Jaylen Brown is.
That's like a
Jaylen Brown's.
Hollywood.
1 second. Jaylen Brown is doing a. He's talking a lot about right now, and it's controversial, but he's talking about the agency model. Because I didn't realize Jaylen Brown represented himself. I but I didn't realize that he represented himself in his contract. But he's saying, like, listen, the agency model is broken because why do 60 or 70% of our players go broke and end up in financial distress, after basketball? So now I'm not saying that's what happened. That's what's happening with Michael Carter Williams, but I am saying the journey that he's talking about, of just mental health and that his. Hopefully not his financial life, but certainly his personal life started to come undone at the same time his career came undone. And then who's there to help you? You were saying?
I mean, they live. Yeah, it's just like they put their shoes on one foot at a time, just like anybody else. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Anything else on Michael Carter Williams?
No, that was a good clip.
Okay, want to get to this one. Similar.
Got about
similar
5
take.
more minutes.
Say again?
I got about 5 more minutes.
All right, so this will be this last clip, and you will take the lead on it, and then I'll take off once you have said what you need to say. But this really spoke to me.
Someone please get this man Will Smith, because brother's preaching again. Oh my Lord, listen to this man break down part of the Infinite Game so beautifully. I'll expand to the captions.
It is such a rare gift to get to the end of the material world, in the place where only God is left. People usually do that when they hit rock bottom. But there's a corresponding place to rock bottom that I call cliff top, where you actually pop out of the top of the material world and there's nothing left here. And you have to, inward is the only place left.
Yeah.
There's no country you can go to. There's no new relationship you can start. There's no job that's going to do it. There's nothing. You get to the end of it. And it's like, it's excruciating, but I would wish that on everybody. I wish everybody could have everything they want.
To see.
It doesn't satisfy.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a place that I've discovered within myself that is an infinite well.
You were made for more than this.
Yes, it's like
the external things.
Right in the heart of you is the doorway to the mystery. And unfortunately, it's right in the center of exactly where you don't want to go inside yourself. Exactly the things you don't want to address, exactly the things you don't want to deal with. And it just takes a heroic spiritual effort to look into that interior abyss.
Can someone please get this man Will Smith? Because brother's preaching again. Oh,
Will Smith talking about cliff top. Thoughts?
So I would say I have to agree with that in terms of, the internal happiness comes from within. And it really takes, I would say, a lot of time spent on working on yourself, but working on things that you struggle at, so you feel confident at things you struggle at, and that's where you just feel satisfied.
Yes. A satisfaction in kind of working on yourself and building yourself up to a certain extent. Anything else?
I mean, yeah, external success is satisfying until it's not, because at some point the plateau, you will plateau. You can keep going up, but at some point you will plateau. And if you're just always so used to just going up, going up, going up, will you be prepared for your plateau to go back up? Right. And that's where a lot of people don't really, I would say, prepare for that. They're just along for the ride to just ride up the mountain. But you got to be prepared to be on that plateau again to get yourself back up.
Start a new journey.
Yep. I mean, it was kind of in my I would say, comparing to me, moving to Arizona was I felt like I was Cape Cod, going to school, doing all that. But once I left, put myself in a new environment, really saw what life actually could be like. It's almost like if you watch Hulu, moving to Scottsdale was like moving to paradise, because we think of in the wintertime, it's sunny maybe 1-2 days of the whole week. And then, these people out here living with sun infinite. It's like unlimited sunshine. So it was like, where do you find your success, but where do you feel most comfortable?
Right. And just kind of, Will Smith just giving perspective, and you hear this from other celebrities or famous people, that kind of allude to a similar thing, in that, all of once you've won the awards, you have the money, you've traveled, you've seen, you basically, once a majority of things become been there, done that, and you still have at least half, if not more than half, of your life to live. How do you continue to, as you said, start new journeys? After you hit that plateau, how do you rev yourself up? To make another ascent, into things that challenge you, things that inspire you, things that engage. Once you've done a lot of what TV and advertisers and everybody else tell you that you should do. So it's I don't know how many people have seen the '90s film Gattaca, which I
see the ASU shirt.
Shout out.
Yup. ASU brother, I see that. And I'm about to be on full dad duty right now, man.
Okay, you gotta head out?
Yeah, I gotta head out, but I wanted to get back, touch on this topic when we have our next
we will return to said topic. But bro, thank you so much for checking in with us from AZ.
Yes, Pistons, man. Remember the Pistons. All right, I got to get me a T-shirt because it's going down.
Okay, you get the T-shirt.
All right, bro. I'll let you later on. You have a great rest of your evening.
Okay.
Thanks for having me, Sad City. Appreciate y'all.
Much love.
Thank you. Peace, bro.
All right. Almost a 2-hour episode. And it hey, that's what it has to be sometimes. So I'm glad to have guests. Did I love every single take, specifically those related to my New York Knicks? Okay, but I respect those takes. And that's what you need. You need variety. You need different voices and opinions. And all right, the Facebook is still rocking. Okay. I told you the IG, once we go over, but the Twitter, The YouTube and the Twitch is still rocking. You know, and I'm allowing, right? People came in and spoke their truth, but they did not necessarily put the respect that I was looking for in terms of my New York Knicks name. That's okay. That's okay. we got something for you. Madison Square Garden. I'm keeping all the receipts. All the receipts are gonna be kept, and we're gonna revisit. But okay, you know, Detroit Rock City. You understand? Put the world on wheels. Detroit, come through confident. Okay, but we got something. My New York Knicks got something for you, and it's gonna be a good series as these playoffs start. And then tomorrow, you know what I mean? In San City, you know, we're gonna have to Wednesday play in, you know, Thursday at the latest. We're gonna have to get back with you as the playoffs begin in earnest. So we will be available for all of that. NFL draft, folks, right? Like what's going on? The draft is coming up late April. So we have to look at that. I think the draft has been a little bit muted just because NIL is going crazy. Okay, quarterback at Tennessee, you know, demanding this. Tennessee saying we're going to do that. Thousands and thousands of players in the transfer portal. You know, this idea of college sports being a one-year proposition, which I do not favor. Like the players getting the money. Do not like musical chairs every single season, in the middle of seasons, in the beginning of seasons, towards the end of seasons. Don't love that. I'm happy the young folks are getting generational wealth, hoping that those young folks are saving and investing that generational wealth so it can help them for generations, and not ending up in financial distress like many professional athletes. Yeah, so we touched on the Masters. We did some playoffs. The playoffs is beginning in earnest. NFL, I just said that. The draft, the NIL continuation, Major League Baseball, yes, indeed. We get into May. We're going to start talking about the French Open. We haven't forgotten in terms of tennis, and then there's a lot of stuff culturally as well. So the beat goes on. Okay, folks. Enjoy the rest of your night. I mean, it is getting late, but hey, you know, like I said, the spring has arrived. All right, sun, you know, has come back out. It's arisen, if you will. And so you gotta, as you know, wise person told me, you gotta make hay while the sun shines. You know, and so San City Sports, you know, we're here for all of that. Okay, folks, thank you for tuning in to San City Sports. I am your host, the Cape Cod Kid, artist formerly known as Andre King. Appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, and we will see you again the next time. Peace.